23 homes in Bethesda took more than a month to sell last month, and 6 in Chevy Chase. 29 homes, and not one of them sold for more than the seller originally asked. Not one. Meanwhile, 30 homes in Bethesda went under contract in a week or less, and half of those sold above the asking price. Same month, same buyers, same interest rates. The difference between those two groups is one decision the seller made on day one. And today, I am going to show you exactly what that decision was worth in dollars. I'm Sherine Monir, a realtor with Compass and also a licensed interior designer in DC. I want to be clear about how I am going to do this, because these are two separate markets and they are not behaving identically. Blending them would hide that. So I am going to give you Bethesda first, which is zip codes 20816, 20817, and 20814. Then I am going to stop, set those numbers down, and give you Chevy Chase, which is 20815, entirely on its own. Every number you hear will be attached to one market or the other, and I will tell you which one before I say it. One more thing before I start, because it matters and most market updates get it wrong. I am measuring every sale against the seller's original asking price, not the reduced price they eventually settled on. And I am using cumulative days on market, which counts the whole time a home has been for sale, not the number that resets when a listing is pulled and relisted. Those two choices change the picture completely, and I will show you why. Let's start with Bethesda. First, what entry level actually means here, because it is not what it means almost anywhere else. Entry level in Bethesda is below $1 million. That is the starting line for a detached home in these three zip codes. Here is how thin that segment is. Of the 199 detached homes active in Bethesda in July, only 19 were priced under $1 million, and 14 of those 19 were in the 900s. Below 700,000, there was not a single active listing in Bethesda. Not one. The sales say the same thing. 73 detached homes sold in Bethesda in July, and 9 of those closed under $1 million. So if you are a buyer trying to get into Bethesda at entry level, you are choosing from about 19 homes in the entire market. And if you own an entry-level home in Bethesda and you have wondered whether there is demand for it, understand how little you are competing with. Now the middle of the Bethesda market. The median sale price in July was $1,750,000, and the median price per finished square foot was $435. Here's where it gets interesting, and this is the part that matters most if you are planning to list. The median cumulative days on market in Bethesda in July was 9. 9 days from listing to under contract for the typical home, but the average was 45 days. When the median is 9 and the average is 45, that is not a market moving at some moderate pace in between. Averages get pulled by extremes. Bethesda in July was two different markets running at the same time. 30 of those 73 homes went under contract in a week or less. A separate 23, nearly a third of everything that sold, took longer than a month. So let's talk about price, because that is the question I get more than any other. Did homes go above asking? Out of those 73 Bethesda sales, 20 closed above the original asking price. 13 closed exactly at it. 40 closed below. So a majority of Bethesda sellers, 40 out of 73, took less than what they first asked for. Now here is the number I want you to actually remember from this video. Of the 30 Bethesda homes that sold within a week, 15 sold above the original asking price. Half of them. Of the 23 Bethesda homes that took longer than a month, the number that sold above their original asking price was 0, not 1. Their median result was 94% of what they originally asked. 6% does not sound like much until you put a dollar sign on it. On a $1.75 million Bethesda home, 6% is $105,000. And for the Bethesda sellers who came down off their original price, the median amount they gave up was $97,500. The worst outcome in the Bethesda data was a home that came on the market at $1,149,000. It sold for $830,000 after 197 days. That is 72% of the original asking price. I want to be careful how I say this because speed does not cause the price. Both come from the same decision. A home priced correctly on day one gets the ready buyers while it is still new and often gets competition. A home priced above what the market supports sits, gets stale, and eventually negotiates down from a number that was never real. And that is what those 199 active Bethesda listings actually are. That is not a pile of unsold inventory proving the market has softened. A meaningful share of that number is homes that came out at a price the market did not agree with and are now accumulating days. Let me show you where in the Bethesda market that speed lives, because it is not where you would guess. The fastest price point was $1.5 to $2 million. 23 homes sold in that range at a median of 7 days, 7 of them above the original ask, closing at a median of exactly 100%. Below that, 1 to 1.5 million ran 10.5 days, and under a million ran 9. Then it changes. Between 2 and 3 million, 18 homes sold. The median jumped to 21 days, and the median result dropped to 96.6% of original. Above 3 million, 3 homes sold at a median of 31 days, and none went above asking. So everything under 2 million in Bethesda is moving quickly and holding its price. Above 2 million, you should plan for a longer runway and a real negotiation. That is not a weak market at the top. It is a more deliberate one, and it has to be priced that way. The last piece of the Bethesda picture is supply. You have been hearing that inventory is building and buyers are taking back control. In Bethesda in July, 60 new detached listings came on the market and 73 sold. More homes left the Bethesda market than entered it. That is roughly 3 months of supply against a balanced market generally considered to sit around 5 to 6 months. So no, inventory did not pile up in Bethesda in July. It contracted and it still punished sellers who overpriced. That is Bethesda. Now I am setting all of those numbers aside, and everything from here is Chevy Chase, 20815 on its own. Chevy Chase is even more concentrated at the top than Bethesda. Of the 58 detached homes active in July, 4 were priced under $1 million, 4 in the whole market. 30 sold, and 2 of those closed under $1 million. The median Chevy Chase sale price in July was $1,699,500. But here is the number that tells you what Chevy Chase really is. The median price per finished square foot was $509. Compare that to Bethesda at $435 a foot. Chevy Chase has a lower median sale price and yet costs about 17% more per square foot. You are buying smaller houses on more expensive ground, paying for location and walkability rather than square footage. If you have been comparing a Chevy Chase house to a Bethesda house on price alone and wondering why the Chevy Chase one feels smaller, that is your answer. On speed, the median cumulative days on market in Chevy Chase was 15 and the average was about 20. That is a tighter spread than Bethesda, where the median was 9 and the average 45. Chevy Chase is slower in the middle and more consistent at the edges. But on price, Chevy Chase behaved exactly like Bethesda, and this is the part I want to be straight with you about. Of the 29 Chevy Chase sales I could verify, 4 closed above the original asking price, 6 closed exactly at it, and 19 closed below. The median Chevy Chase seller got about 98% of what they originally asked, and those who came down gave up a median of $55,000. And the slow group in Chevy Chase tells the same story Bethesda told. 6 homes took longer than a month. 0 of them sold above their original asking price. All 6 came down. Their median result was 93%. I want to show you one of those 6. because it is the clearest illustration of why the original asking price is the number that matters. There was a new construction home. If you looked it up, you would see it listed at $3,295,000 and closing at $3,345,000, $50,000 over asking. A win. Except that home came on the market at $3,450,000. The seller reduced it and then sold above the reduced number, measured against what they actually asked for on day one. They came down $105,000 and it took 40 days. That is how a price cut disguises itself as a win. And it is why I stopped using the last list price and went back to the original for every home in this analysis. So here is where all of this lands. And it is the same lesson in both markets. If you own in Bethesda, your upside is speed and your downside is expensive. Price it correctly, and the July data says you have a real shot at being under contract in about a week, at full price or better. Price it wrong, and you are looking at a month or more and a median result around 94% of what you asked, which on a typical Bethesda home is over $100,000. If you own in Chevy Chase, plan for a slightly longer runway, about 2 weeks rather than one. But do not read that as a market that forgives overpricing, because the July numbers say it does not. Every Chevy Chase home that sat more than a month came down off its original price, and across both markets, more homes sold in July than came onto the market. Whatever you are hearing nationally, that is not what softening looks like. These are tight markets that are still unforgiving about price, and both of those things are true at the same time. If you are weighing a sale this fall and you want to know where your home actually sits inside these numbers, reach out. I will pull the comparable sales for your street and your price point and give you a straight read on what to expect, including what a realistic list price looks like on day one. You can find everything at SherineMonir.com/YouTube. I'm Sherine Monir. I'm here whenever you're ready.